Ted, I'm ready whenever you guys are. Come on, Pat, Doug. I'm sorry? Okay. You guys hear me okay? Sure. Is everybody ready? I'm Ron Brundage, Ronbrundige. I'm the director of DPW. I've got with me here Pat Henderson and Doug Collins. They're superintendents of our streets and solid waste divisions, and they're each responsible for taking care of snow in different parts of the city. It's kind of ironic that we're here today on the official first day of winter. Obviously, we're all aware of the fact that we're expecting snow to occur, likely beginning early Friday morning and continuing until the early part of Saturday morning. So I just wanted to talk a little bit today about what the City of Detroit's general policy is with regards to snow removal and what you can expect to see for this upcoming snow event. When the City of Detroit addresses snow, we kind of break things down in one of three different categories. We have three different levels. If we have a snow event where total accumulation is between 0 and 3 inches, which is what most of the snow events in the City of Detroit typically fall in that category, we have our city crews out salting the city's 673 miles of major roads. If we get snow events to fall within the 3 and 6 inch range, we'll again have city crews out, but in those cases we have to both plow and salt the major roads to get them clear. And then when we have a more major snow event, which is typically defined as about 6 inches or more, in addition to our city crews clearing the 673 miles of major streets, we'll also bring in 5 contractors to plow all of the city's 1,884 miles of residential streets. And with us bringing in contractors to do that work, that allows for the city crews to continue working on the major streets, and the work is going on concurrently. For the snow event that we expect to begin on Friday morning, right now the projections are still kind of all over the place in terms of, what we expect to receive in terms of total accumulation of snowfall. Anywhere from, I've seen forecasts as low as 2 inches in the City of Detroit to potentially as much as 8 inches. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see how things play out. But what we will do, we do anticipate that sometime between midnight and say 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning, the precipitation is going to transfer over from rainfall as the temperatures drop to snow. And as soon as that occurs, Pat and Doug are going to have their crews ready to go out and immediately begin salting the major roads. And we'll keep doing that throughout the day on throughout the day on Friday. And as the accumulation occurs, and depending on the amount, that'll dictate how we approach the snow removal from that part moving on. We'll have 50 trucks out around the clock starting Friday morning. We have our crews set up whereby we put them on alternate 12-hour shifts, so we have enough drivers to cover both shifts. So once we start out on Friday morning with 50 trucks out there, we'll continue that around the clock until the snow stops, until all of the streets are cleared. So that's just kind of our general policy. Again, depending on how much snowfall we get, we'll make a determination as to whether or not we need to bring contractors in to provide additional support on the residential streets. But again, because the forecast is so varied right now in terms of what we may end up getting in the City of Detroit, we're going to have to wait and see how things play out before we make that final determination. Does anyone have any questions? I just wanted to give you kind of a general overview and then hopefully answer any questions that you guys may have. Yeah, the timing is not ideal, and over the last 3 or 4 days, the start time and end time of this particular snow event, kept getting moved back. We initially thought that the snow would start on Thursday and end sometime Friday evening, and that would give us a day and a half to clear things out before Christmas morning. But the storm just kept getting pushed back a little bit, and we just have to deal with what's out there. Of course, we say to our residents, we're going to be committed to doing everything that we can do to make sure that city streets are cleared when folks are ready to get out on Christmas morning.
Why is 6 inches the cutoff for calling these contractors? And what do you say to Detroiters who are afraid if you don't bring them in, they won't be able to pass through the street?
Yeah, 6 inches we found historically is kind of that break-even point where the potential for folks getting stuck in snowfall, so that kind of becomes a delineation point. We found that when we get snow events of 4 or 5 inches, even though the streets are snow covered, our residents are still able to transverse, through their residential streets and get to that major street that, by that time would have already been plowed and salted. So, history has kind of shown us that becomes the delineation point. Yeah. Yeah, so well, first of all, I'm glad you asked that question. It gives me an opportunity to remind our residents we know or we expect that the winds are going to be gusting pretty high during the day on Friday. So if you don't have to be out driving, especially on Friday, we ask that you not be out there. But what that does as it relates to additional challenges for our snow removal crews is that the snow's going to be blowing over, so we can get a street plowed and salted and cleared. You got wind gusts coming by, it's going to blow snow back over. So, what that does in a lot of cases is it causes us to go back over the same streets more than multiple times, until everything finally clears out.
Do you want people to move their vehicles out of the streets Friday and Saturday or
Not yet. Again, we'll make that determination if the snowfall accumulation is such that we bring contractors into the residential streets. Again, if we don't get if we don't get on the higher end of the projections, then it may not be required. So we'll have to wait before we make a determination as to whether or not we would ask our residents to move streets off the residential streets. Okay. Yeah. It's not as effective, and in the city of Detroit, when the temperatures drop, we also have the capacity to apply a calcium chloride to our rock salt mixture, and that's much more effective at lower temperatures. So we do have that capacity. We'll see how things play out and make a determination as to whether or not we want to also potentially treat our rock salt with the calcium chloride. But you're 100% correct that the rock salt isn't as effective when the temperatures tend to drop below 20 degrees. But one thing that will occur, especially once we get beyond Friday and we get into Saturday, and people are out driving again to a certain degree. As vehicles drive over the road, it generates frictional heat, which also helps to make the rock salt more effective.
The rain sets a wash away any rock salt that's put down.
Yeah, we love to be able to pre-treat roads whenever possible, but we really can't do that. As you mentioned, we're going to get rain before it switches over to snow. So any pre-treating that we would do, it would get washed away with the rain. So for this particular event, we're just going to have to wait until the precipitation transitions over from rain to snow, and then we'll immediately begin salting. But for other events, whereby the initial precipitation is snow, we have the ability to go out and pre-salt or pre-treat streets before the snow actually begins. I think I don't know if the obstacle is going to be any greater than for any other snow event. As was indicated earlier, we are expecting during the day Friday some pretty heavy winds, so we know that that's going to create snow blowing over. It's going to cause us to have to, in some cases, go back over streets that have been previously cleared. We know that's just we'll just prepare for that. But I think in terms of how we approach our snow fighting. Our snow fighting techniques, we'll just have to keep doing the same things over and over until all of the streets are clear. You guys have any questions for these two? These are the two that actually get everything done. All I do is talk about what they do. So.
that is what we do. It's happened previous years, happened last year. They spend time with their family when they can. That's why we work the 12-hour shifts so they can get home for 12 hours, get some rest, spend some time, some holiday season with their families, and we take our turns, and we just keep the trucks rolling 24/7 and until the roads are clear and safe for the residents.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that question. It just kind of gives me an opportunity to really thank thank all of our operators and all of our equipment, our drivers and construction equipment operators. They understand the importance of what we do for the residents of the city and all of the visitors of the city. So, Doug and Pat, they've had a lot of conversations with their team members. Obviously, none of us would want to be out, working on Christmas Day if we can avoid it, but they understand the importance of what they've got to do, and they're fully committed to getting it done.
Doug Collins. Collins, yes. Superintendent of Solid Waste.
All right, you guys are easy. Thank you so much.
We'll be loading the truck out back if you guys want to relocate out there, and you can get some footage of that.
I guess I could have given just some background information. We actually, for those that are interested, this is one of 3 locations that we deploy trucks from. This is our Russell Ferry location that handles the east side of the city. We have a location in southwest Detroit on Michigan at 19th, and trucks are deployed from that location to handle downtown in southwest Detroit. Then we have a 3rd location on the northwest side of the city on Southfield and I-96 Service Drive, and that handles the far west side of the city. So we'll have 50 out continuously until everything is clear. All right. Thank you again.